Hey witches, welcome back for another episode of Bewitching.Bemused. If you don't already know me, my name is Tiffany. Today's episode, we are going to be revisiting my Beginner's Witchcraft series, and we will be covering the topic of visualization. On today's agenda, we are going to discuss what is visualization and what is it used for in the practice of magic, how do you visualize, and some extra exercises to kind of help strengthen your visualization skills and abilities. So let's jump right into it. What is visualization and how is it used in witchcraft? Visualization is using the imagination to summon up a visual image of a person, an object, or a location, or a scene, a scenario playing out. It's pulling up those images with the mind's eye, and with enough practice, you should be able to visualize so intensely and focus on that image or that scene or that person so intently that it's almost as if you are in that location that you are picturing, or that object or that person is right in front of you, or that event that you are visualizing occurring has already come to pass. On top of that, despite its name and the use of the word visual, the use of visualization in magic and in witchcraft is not limited to imagery. You want to really be able to embrace all of your senses when you are practicing visualization. So if you're visualizing, I just realized how see-through my shirt is on this camera. You've all visualized my bra now. It's fine, it's too late to change. Okay, back to what I was saying. If you are visualizing that you are on the beach, yes, you are going to picture the sand and the waves, maybe some cliffs off into the distance, the sun somewhere in the sky, and birds, and you're going to be picturing all of that. But in addition to that, you're also going to be able to hear the waves crashing. You're going to hear seagulls cawing and wind blowing. You're going to be able to taste salt on your lips. You're going to be able to smell that kind of that fishy smell as well as the salt in the air. And you're going to be able to feel the uneven sand that you're sitting or standing on, the grittiness of it. You're going to feel the wind, you know, blowing your hair around. And let's see, that was sight, taste, smell, sound, touch. Yeah, so that's everything. So you want to be able to incorporate all of that, which being able to visualize all of the senses, and especially at the same time, it does take a bit of practice. So if you're kind of new to this and you're only able to picture certain things without tasting them or smelling them as well, that's okay. This is a skill, and if you practice that skill, you're going to just get better at it. And I will help you do that today. Now, visualization is an integral skill to have when performing witchcraft or practicing magic, because it is used in so many different aspects of the craft. You will probably most often experience visualization or utilize visualization during spell and ritual. That's going to be the most, common time you're going to come across that. As you're performing your spell work or your ritual, you are usually going to have a moment where you stop and you visualize whatever it is that you're trying to manifest and the end result of that. So if you say you're trying to, you're doing a fertility spell to become pregnant, you might visualize being heavily pregnant, in your third trimester. You might visualize the first time you are holding your newborn baby in your hands. We do this because it helps us focus very clearly on our intent. It also helps us to communicate and project it outward. But that's not all. Visualization is also used in meditation, especially guided meditation. It's used in spirit work. It's used in energy work, whether you're sensing energy or directing energy. It's used in casting a circle. I mean, the list just keeps going on. It's also used to help you strengthen other skills that you will use in your magical practice. So let's say energy work in general. So a lot of the times if an instructor is telling you, or you're reading a book and it's instructing you to visualize your energy as having a certain color, so positive energy being white and negative energy being black, you're inhaling the positive, exhaling the negative, or you want to ground and center, and when you visualize yourself connecting to the earth by roots, and then you can feel the energy, you can visualize the energy coming up those roots and entering your body, and you can picture it a certain way, as a golden cloud or a bright white light or whatever moving through your body. The reason for this is it's because it's easier to begin to sense something when we can give it a visual link. So that's just one example. I could go on all day with more examples, but I think it's time to move on with this video and onto how do you actually visualize. Okay, if you have ever daydreamed, or if you have ever followed along with a guided meditation, or tried to recall what somebody's face looks like, somebody you haven't seen in a while, or what a location you haven't been to in a while looks like, or even just thinking about like, oh, yesterday I was at the store, and you're able to picture the store in your mind, that's visualization. Like I said earlier, it is just calling up visuals into the mind's eye. This first exercise I'm going to give you is not only a great practice to have to build your skill of visualization and strengthen it, but it's also a great way to see kind of what level you're at. Now, keep in mind, not everybody is good at this right away. Some people are, and some people it takes a little more work. But unless you are one of the rare people with aphantasia, you do have this ability. It just might require a bit of practice. Nothing wrong with that. And I do find that people who tend to be kind of more of a natural at it have actually been visualizing for a really long time and using their visual imagination for a long time, maybe without even realizing it. And it's just now that they're tapping into it for the purpose of practicing magic that they're actually going like, oh, hey, I do this all the time, whether that's in daydreaming or it's because they read a lot, so they're constantly picturing things, or people who do a lot of guided meditation. I find that visualization comes to those people much more naturally than people who maybe don't work in a creative field, who don't read very much. Maybe they prefer watching TV, who have never done a guided meditation in particular. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just, you're starting off with a little bit less of a foundation, and that's okay. It's just gonna take maybe a little bit longer. But honestly, I think all humans are kind of prone to having a good imagination, because we all used our imaginations as kids, right? So it's in you somewhere. You just gotta harness it again, and you gotta work with it again. So if this doesn't come naturally to you right away, don't get frustrated. And if you aren't able to complete this entire exercise from start to finish, again, don't get frustrated. I'm giving you something to build upon, and it's a good way for you to gauge kind of where you're at. And you don't have to be able to do, step 1 through step 10. I don't remember how many steps this exercise is. I gotta look at my script, but you don't have to be able to complete the entire thing in order to start doing rituals, start doing energy work, start doing spell work. You can get by, and lots of people with aphantasia can get by doing spell work without having the ability to visualize. Visualization helps, but there's ways to get around it, so don't beat yourself up if you're sort of a beginner. Trust me, it's not a big deal. It's just a good skill to start practicing, as I feel like I've repeated that like 12 times. So let's just move on. Also, with this one and with the exercises I'm going to give you after this to help you continuously strengthen your ability to visualize, especially in more of a passive manner, so you can kind of be practicing that skill set on a day-to-day basis in a very easy way. This will also be on my website. I will link to that article down below. I find it makes it easier to kind of reference back to work through the exercises, so you're not constantly having to go back to the video and rewind. I mean, hey, if you want to keep listening to me talk over and over and over again, then by all means, welcome. Please feel free to do so. But if that makes it easier for you, it's linked down below. For this exercise, I recommend that you find a quiet time and a quiet place where you hopefully won't be disturbed. Sit or lay down comfortably. If you're prone to getting sleepy, don't lay down. Make sure you're sitting up, and close your eyes. The first thing you should do is picture a whole apple. Just focus on the visuals of it. Don't worry about the other senses yet. We'll get to that. So what color is it? Does it have a stem? Does it have any blemishes or bruises? Is it shiny, or maybe is it a bit dull? Just really take in all its different visual aspects. Maybe it's red, but it's got a little bit of a yellow area that's not quite ripe yet. The next thing I want you to do is, without touching it, just again, keep focusing on the visuals. Try rotating the apple. See if you can create the visual of its movement while simultaneously revealing other angles of this apple to you. Maybe the top of it is a little lopsided once you kind of turn it and reveal it, or maybe you continue turning it and boom, there's a big bruise you hadn't seen when you first visualized it. So with that, you have gotten this hopefully complete visual of the apple, but you've also worked on being able to visualize the movement of it. Now, if all you have is sort of a 2D picture of the apple, you can't really picture it moving, or maybe it moves, but you're not able to kind of create anything new out of it, that's okay. It just means that you need a bit of practice. Otherwise, go ahead and keep moving forward. The next thing I want you to do, reach out and pick the apple up. Feel its weight in your hand. Now, you are keeping your eyes closed, you are sitting and relaxed, but if it helps you to actually physically reach out and pick up this apple, then feel free to do so. Eventually you want to be able to do it without those physical cues, but I know sometimes that helps people with that muscle memory of actually like, I feel like I can feel it in my hand, you know? So feel its weight. Turn it over, feel the smoothness of its skin. Maybe imagine twisting and plucking out the stem. Check how firm it is. Are there any soft spots? Run your finger over the bumpy ridges on the bottom. Shift it from one hand to the other, feeling the weight change from, hand to hand. If you were able to do that, even with a bit of difficulty, it's okay if these are a little bit hard, but as long as you're still able to finish them, go ahead and move on to the next step. The next thing I want you to do is take the apple, raise it up to your mouth, and take a bite out of it. Do this nice and slow because we are going to jump into several senses here. And if you're able to get just one and maybe not the others or whatever, that's totally fine. Go ahead and keep pushing forward with this visualization practice, because with this, you should be able to hear the crunch as you bite into it. You should also be able to feel your teeth puncture the skin. Maybe, I feel like every time I bite into an apple, a little piece of skin gets lodged right between my front teeth, so maybe you're able to feel that. You should also be able to taste the juices, taste the flavor of the apple, taste and feel not only the texture of the flesh of the inside of the apple, which is, crunchy, but also maybe the kind of waxy, smooth surface of the skin now on your tongue. It went from being able to feel it with your hand to being able to feel it on your tongue. In addition to that, you should also be able to smell the sweetness of the apple now. I know that's a whole lot of senses I just threw at you, so go slow with it. And like I said, maybe you bite into it and you can get the feeling, but you can't quite, muster up the smell or the taste just yet. That's okay. Follow through with the rest of the exercise, because at this point, you're just gonna chew the apple. You're just gonna chew it again. If it helps you to muster it up by like physically acting like you're chewing something, that's fine to do for now. This is a skill that we're practicing. Practice makes perfect, and eventually that's something you'll be able to kind of do without. So chew it, feel as the apple texture and the skin texture changes as you bite into it. It starts with a crunch and then it kind of turns into a mush. The way it moves around in your mouth is different. And also now when you look at that apple, it has changed. It's still the apple you picked up earlier, but now it's got a big bite mark out of it and you can see the flesh on the inside. Just slow down with the end of this and take your time. You can bite more into the apple, but try to continuously involve all 5 of your senses in this. This is an exercise that I recommend you repeat, even if you made it all the way through every single step and you're like, yeah, I could see it, yes, I could taste it, I could move it, I could bite it, I could smell it, this and that. Awesome. Let's up the difficulty level. So try doing that instead with your eyes open. Try doing it, like I mentioned earlier, without, if you were using any, you picked it up, any physical, real life body movements, try to do it without those. Try, and I do, when I say like level up the difficulty, I do recommend practicing them one at a time. Do the exercise the way I first laid it out. Then do the exercise without any movements, then do the exercise without any movements and with your eyes open, then and so on and so forth. I'll get to the rest in just a second, but I did want to include that side note. And you can do this process over a span of days, doing it once a day, and kind of increasing the difficulty as you go, or weeks or even months. It just kind of depends how quickly you get the hang of it. So the next one is to try doing it in a busy and noisy location. So like on a train or walking down the sidewalk in the store. Next, I recommend, if you weren't doing this already, I know some people are inclined to just naturally picture an entire scene with the apple instead of just the apple. So if you didn't already do this automatically, try expanding the scene. So before you just had an apple, but now maybe you have an apple on a plate and the plate on a table, and try switching it up every time you do it. So the first time you got an apple on a paper plate on a wooden picnic bench and wooden picnic table inside of an apple orchard. And then next time it's on a, green ceramic plate, and that's on your kitchen counter, and that's in your kitchen. I would actually reverse those two though and say to start off with places that are familiar to you and then graduate up to creating a completely invented scene. And then go crazy with it. Try practicing it with a different piece of fruit, particularly one that you haven't eaten in years. I recommend fruit because they tend to have a strong texture and flavor and scent, but I mean, it doesn't just have to be fruit, it can really be anything. So that is the main practice I'm going to give you. It's a really great daily way to work on your visualization, but like I said, I also have a few ways that are more passive that you can work on your visualization while doing other things. And these ones are great for both people who are very advanced with visualization as well as people who are more beginners. So the first one is going to be guided meditation. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but if you're not familiar with guided meditation, you basically pop in some earbuds and somebody guides you through a meditation. They typically, in a very calm, slow, soothing voice, will tell you, picture yourself in a cool, dim forest, and you can see the sunlight peeking through the canopy above you. And you begin walking through the forest, and then you come across a stream, and then it just goes on and on from there. These come in various different lengths. You can also find them for free on YouTube, on Spotify. There's apps that have them for free. The only thing I would say is a lot of the time they do primarily focus on visuals. Occasionally they'll say like, feel the breeze against your skin. But I recommend that you, of your own accord, do try to incorporate the other senses. If you're walking, maybe you're walking barefoot through this forest and you can feel that the soil is soft and maybe a little damp. You can smell the damp soil in the air. You can hear the trickling of the stream that you're about to come across. And this is also great because not only does it help you improve your visualization, but it also kind of gets your daily meditation out of the way as well. The next way to practice visualization is through reading. Now, obviously when we watch TV, everything is there right in front of us with television and movies. And we also don't have to interpret what an author meant through their metaphor or their similes or their comparisons or their adjectives. So TV is not a good way to do this, let's put it that way. Books, however, when you're reading, if they describe the main character hears a shriek in the distance, we need to summon up that sound of a shriek, but not just a shriek, it's in the distance. Maybe it echoes a little bit. It sounds a little hollow because it's far off. It's muted a bit. Is this character in an open field where it's gonna be much more shrill and loud? Or are they in a deserted building where it's gonna echo down a corridor and the sound is dampened a little bit by all the walls? Then of course, if they're describing a landscape, you picture the entirety of the landscape. If they say, oh, the protagonist bit their tongue and their mouth was flooded with the flavor of, you know, pennies or whatever, like, you know that's okay, they bit their tongue and now they're bleeding, but suddenly you are also having to imagine what that flavor tastes like. And that's how you get, I mean, I know some people, you can read a book without doing any of that, but to get really immersed in the story and to really appreciate what the author has done for you in describing their world and their characters to you, you really have to take a moment and slow down with the reading to take in all of those different senses that they've laid out for you in the story. The next one is daydreaming. If you are not prone to daydreaming, I definitely am, but if you are not prone to daydreaming, I recommend thinking of something that you would like to happen in the next few days and just imagine that scene playing out. You know, maybe you're planning on asking your crush out. Okay, well, imagine that they said yes and imagine how that date's gonna go. Maybe you bought a lottery ticket and you're waiting on, you know, the results are coming out tonight. Well, just kind of daydream and imagine what you'll do with those winnings. Like I said, you know, we used to all use our imaginations and visualize a lot when we were children, but we sort of lose that ability over time. And daydreaming is a great way to kind of tap into your inner child and get back in touch with your creativity and with your imagination. And it doesn't always have to be a positive thing. Of course, like, yes, it's great to imagine positive things, but like, I know for sure, like, I'm a big horror film fan and I love horror novels as well. So like, I've definitely imagined like, I've been kidnapped and I'm running through the forest barefoot and my feet are cut up and I'm the final girl, right? Like, I've imagined this like horrible things happening to me because at the end of it, I'm the hero, right? That sounds horrible. I swear I don't have Munchausen's. It's just, again, it's a safe fantasy play in your head. So no, it doesn't always have to be positive. It could be something kind of negative, but whether it's good or bad, just my only advice is, as somebody who has used escapism as a coping mechanism in the past and has gotten like kind of addicted to it before, just don't do it all the time. It's nice to play, it's nice to get wrapped up in your thoughts and like swept away for a little bit, but bring yourself back down to earth, just like after a while. You don't want to get so wrapped up in daydreaming all the time because it can be really fun, but you don't want to get so wrapped up in it that it just kind of like, that's where your mind always goes to, you know, because it is very good to still be in the present as much as possible in our daily lives. And so that's just a little side PSA on maintaining still a sense of presence and a sense of awareness and staying in yourself. But it is okay to let your imagination kind of run around a little bit and have those flights of fancy and moments of kind of carefree, just creative fun. And like the point of this video, they will help you with your visualization. The final one is to use memory recall. So you can do this if you can think back to like, oh, what was a really great day that I had at any point in your life, really, that you can kind of, at least kind of grasp the memory of, and just start replaying that scene in your mind. It could have been maybe your 5th birthday, or, you know, your 21st birthday, or your college graduation, or your wedding day. It doesn't matter, just as long as you have enough of a tangible memory that you can kind of grasp onto it and play through parts of it in your mind. I know memory isn't seamless and it's not, you know, press play and it runs all the way through. It doesn't really work like that, but have enough of the memory strength retained that you can at least play certain chunks of it. You can try to tap into certain things, like, what were you wearing? How did you feel wearing that outfit? How did the material feel on your skin? You know, what was the weather like? Was there somebody there that you haven't seen in a while? What did their voice sound like? You know, just different things like that. But using visualization for memory recall is also really useful if you're trying to remember something, right? So if you're at the store and you didn't complete your shopping list and you're like, what was it that I'm forgetting? picture the last time you opened your fridge or you opened your pantry, and try to picture what you saw in there. You know, maybe it was that morning you opened the pantry, and try to picture what was in there. Okay, there was boxes of pasta on the left, and then there was, you know, an unopened jar of, you know, whatever. So try to use that memory recall. That will also strengthen your memory in addition to your visualization skills. So that's another kind of like 2-for-1 exercise. But also, I know a lot of us have heard our moms say at least once in our life, whenever we've lost something, instead of tearing up the whole house looking for it, try to remember the last place you saw it or the last place you used it. And I know this is something that I do all the time. This helps me, you know, retracing my steps mentally helps me track things down if I lose them. But you can do that. You can sort of go like, okay, well, I had my car keys. I remember using my keys to open the front door. So I let myself in the front door, and for some reason I didn't set them next to the door like I normally do. So where did I put them? And why? Like, and then you might remember like, oh, cause your phone rang, and then you were digging in your purse for your phone. You got frustrated holding the keys, so you just dropped your keys into your purse, which now you know that they're in your purse. So it just, again, it helps you strengthen your memory, but it also helps you replay those visuals in your mind and kind of takes you back to that moment. And especially because that might be a more fresh memory. And so it's easier to grasp onto all of those other external stimuli. So if there was, you know, you walked into the house and maybe it wasn't your phone ringing, or it was and you heard your phone ringing, right? So you got sound there. Or you walked in the house and it wasn't your phone ringing that distracted you. It was the smell of something burning, like, uh-oh, something's burning. What? Okay, just toss the keys on the dining room table instead of setting them down where they go. You know, different things like that. So it helps you, again, muster up those other senses as well as the visual imagery. All right, witches, that's everything for today. Once again, if you need those instructions written out for you, they are on the website. I will link that down below. It's on Bewitching.Bemused.com, but I'll have the exact link to that exact article down below in the description box, so it's just easier to find. If you enjoyed this video and thought it was helpful, please hit that thumbs up and leave a comment about, I don't know, something. Say hi. But that's it for today. I am really excited to kind of return to this beginner witchcraft series that I started because I know it's been really helpful for a lot of people. So I'm excited to keep sharing more. And I'm also excited to keep expanding the website. If you're interested in more articles, I don't always release a video with the articles. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So sometimes you will find content that is exclusive to the website and not also released in video format, just FYI. If you would like updates on when those are released, you can subscribe to my mailing list, my emailing, not mail, but emailing list on the website. I won't use it for anything other than just, you'll get a notification when I release a new article. I swear I won't spam you with anything else. But okay, yeah, that's it for today, witches. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful and informative. And as always, please stay magical.